So when we began his brain therapy to balance his brain, Stephen was a really angry child at home. He was angry and frustrated more than he was happy. He wasn't sleeping well, he wasn't eating well, he was in repetitive cycles constantly. And for homeschooling, he was at a dead end. So they were beginning to work with him, our psychological evaluator, on life skills, thinking, okay, we've topped out, we're not going to go much further. So now 6 weeks in, the changes that slowly occurred is he began to be more happier. He would spontaneously hug us when we couldn't touch him before. If he was frustrated and you touched him, you could be sure you would get hit. Now we could touch him and hug him and he would hug back. Schooling, he began wanting to read, where he's before been very frustrated and you had to force the issue. We decided to start the schooling again where we left off, and all of a sudden he's making progress. In fact, remembering some of what hadn't been studied in maybe 8 to 10 weeks. So it was shocking to see that his brain could recall things that we thought were long gone. Also, he began sleeping much better. So he was waking up happy, and then his appetite increased. In between that, we also had a setback where he went 3 days and became extremely violent again, and we were thinking, oh, this is our normal pattern. He does well, and then that's it. He decides he doesn't want to do something, you can't make him, that's the end of it. But then just magically after 3 days, he was a much happier kid, and all of a sudden he was saying, yes ma'am, yes sir. He was doing things beyond what we asked him to do, taking the extra mile, such as on his chore list. He cleaned his bedroom and then went and vacuumed the rest of the house, and we were just in awe that this is something we had never seen before at all with any therapy. So his progression continues to be small little steps that we notice, and then all of a sudden we look back and say, wow, we really came a long way. We came from being in a part of our lives where we thought, this was it, this is as good as it gets, our life is miserable. They're just gonna have to medicate him more and medicate him more, and what will he be, a zombie? So now we have this happy kid who's interacting with other kids and playing. You asked him to turn off an Xbox previously before this treatment. You would get a 30-minute delay and then a huge fight where he was kicking and throwing things and threatening you. And now you ask him to turn it off and he's like, yes ma'am, click. It's amazing. So after his 3-day setback where he became violent again for those 3 days, and I'm not gonna and you can't make me, all of a sudden he began to just cry over a sad scene on a TV. He would make a mistake and he would cry. I'm sorry. Never before have we ever gotten an I'm sorry. It just didn't connect with him that his action had caused harm to somebody. One instance is he had hurt his brother's feelings, his 30-year-old brother, or 40-year-old brother, and all of a sudden he just started to cry and turned around and ran for the hug. And his brother thought, oh great, I'm gonna get hit. Instead, it was the hug, and he was crying, and he was really sorry that he had hurt his brother's feelings. So those are some of the emotions now he's going through that he's never experienced before.